the method of investing in another business philosophy?
It's a chain of food. Not necessarily food, but most likely, I think McDonald's when I think of franchising. Something that's owned by, I guess, a big company.
Franchising, that would be just somebody going to a corporation like McDonald's saying, I want to open a McDonald's, and they say, all right, you pay us X amount of money, and you get to operate under our name.
Yes, mom and pop shops have trouble competing with prices of larger corporations such as franchises.
Yes and no, because franchising, you know what to expect when you walk in there, but mom and pop are more individual.
I don't really think so, because mom and pop businesses are usually small scale, pretty local, and people who know the mom and pop businesses usually frequent them. Whereas a franchise like a McDonald's, you put that on an interstate, one every 50 miles or so, and people recognize it as something they can get pretty much anywhere for the same price with the same product. And it all depends. Mom and pop stores are specialty local sort of things.
I prefer a local store because I'd rather put my money back into a local economy rather than a global economy.
Sometimes yes, most of the time no, depending on the franchise, but most likely I'd rather go to the mom and pop store.
Well, if I'm in my own area, then I would prefer a local one, because then I know exactly what I'm going to get every time. If I'm in a different area, it'd be helpful to find something more franchise oriented, because if you have a franchise, you have to follow certain guidelines in order to maintain it.
I choose small business over franchise due to the moral and ethic corruption that goes on in corporations such as a franchise.
I choose a franchise store because of advertisement.
Usually I go franchise if I'm unfamiliar with the area. If I know where I am and I know what stores offer what, then I try to go with a mom and pop sort of business.
I think expanding the size of your small business or changing a variety of supplies you carry will help you greater chance of competing with a larger corporation such as a franchise.
Advertise more, find some way to get their name out there because they've got a lot of competition in that aspect.
Maintain their niche. If a mom and pop store tries to do too much, then they'll just get bought out. If they maintain the same friendly, know your neighbor, say hi to them on the street sort of service that they have, then they'll be able to survive.
Picking a store usually has to do with the consistency of their policy and the product and satisfaction of their help.
Price, personal experiences, reviews, word of mouth.
The main thing I look for is service, price, proximity to my location.
Negatively, allows for corporate corruption, no expansion for small business owner when they're weighed down by a corporation.
Well, it helps the advertising market. I mean, it helps a lot of people get a business with a good name. It just helps a little bit of everybody out.
I think franchising influences the market when they become everywhere. I mean, you can't go down an interstate without seeing a fast food restaurant every single rest stop you go. And I think when it just becomes, do you want generic burger product A or B, then you don't really choose anymore. You're just picking, do I want the bun that's plain or do I want the bun that's sesame seed?
All right.
I think it's safer to start up your own business because when you invest in a franchise, you're limited to the economic growth your business can.
I think it's safer to go with the franchise. It might not be cheaper because they got all the fees to begin with and they get a percentage, but you're guaranteed a name and a way of running the business.
I think it's probably cheaper to start a franchise because the vast majority of user-created businesses fail within a few years. If you have your own business and you start it from scratch, it's going to be hard for you to get your name out and for a mass audience to understand exactly what your product is. Whereas if you start up your own store with the golden arches out front, people will recognize exactly what you have and will be that much more likely to come and take your product.